Purpose in the Youth. Purpose in the Youth. Purpose in the Youth podcast. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast.
Don't give up until you find your thing.
Don't be afraid that you don't know what you want to do yet, because I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. I still don't know what I want to do yet.
I'm still trying to figure that out. If you don't have it figured out early, don't think you're never going to find it.
You really make your own opportunity.
What do you genuinely enjoy?
Everything is strategic. I mean, nothing ends up how you want it to end up.
You go around once, there's no dress rehearsal.
But you have to understand yourself to know what your passions are, and then it just comes really easily.
Keep looking for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only, Bobbbaaaay. Today on the show, we have Ash Katch. How are you doing?
Doing great. So excited.
Back from Australia.
Back from Australia.
Feels good?
Yeah.
I mean, you got the sunshine here, but I'm sure you still had that in Australia.
Yeah.
What part of Australia was this?
I've been living in Sydney.
Sydney.
And essentially for the last year, I've just been chasing summer. I went from summer to summer to summer.
That's not a bad lifestyle.
I know, yeah.
Did you plan that purposely, or
no,
it was just the way things
it was kind of
played
like
out?
a childhood dream, and so it's finally happening.
How big is Sydney?
Sydney is massive.
Massive.
Yeah.
2 million, 3 million. How many people would you, if you had to take a guess?
I know that Sydney, or I heard this stat, I'm not sure if it's true, that Sydney has 25% of all of the Australian population.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty.
Damn.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Australia, there's a lot in the middle that's just nothing, right?
Right.
I think that's what they always say. People stick to the coastlines.
Exactly.
There's really not much going on in the middle.
Yeah.
So if I go there, I'm gonna have to go to Sydney.
Sydney is so good.
That's where it's at. Huh?
It's the perfect mixture between everything, because you have the proper downtown city.
Yeah.
With the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge, and then there's beautiful coastline with beautiful beaches.
Oh.
So it's you live in Sydney and you get a little bit of everything.
You live in paradise.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, it's so good.
Who is Ash Katch today, and how young is she?
Who is Ash Katch today? So I am, I'm a videographer, so I make videos, and I have a YouTube channel, so I vlog from time to time. And what else? I work for this festival in Sydney. That's why I live in Sydney on and off, called Rad Livin', doing community management and ticket sales and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So content creation, I guess, would be a good broad generalization.
Yeah.
And I'm 26 years old.
26 years young.
26
years
young.
young. That's
There we
great.
go.
That's a great number.
Yeah.
You're killing it.
Thanks.
You grew up in Fresno, California.
Yeah.
Describe to me what that environment is like. Never been there before. It is in California. What is it like to grow up there?
So it's the quintessential opposite of what people imagine when they think of California.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of in I love Fresno.
Okay.
So it sounds like I'm bashing
That's your home.
it.
You got to hold it down. Hold it down for the
obsessed.
Fresno.
I'm obsessed with Fresno. So
hold it down for them.
Yeah, but I think Fresno is kind of in the middle, in the very middle of California, and it's an agriculture community.
Okay.
So there's mountains, 2 hours, one side, and then it takes a few hours to get to the beach. So it's it is a good central for California, because you're close to LA, you're kind of close to San Francisco, you got mountains, you got beach, but it just takes a few hours to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you love the mountains, Yosemite National Park is just an hour away.
Yeah.
So it's a great place, but it gets really hot in the summer. It gets cold-ish, not snow.
Don't even start with you Californians. You don't even know.
That's not too bad in the winter, but yeah, it's just in the smog is pretty bad as well. So it's bad air quality.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about California. It has a little bit of everything. That's what I always tell people. It doesn't matter if you like the snow, if you like the sunshine, if you want the desert. It has it all.
Yeah.
It's literally the perfect state.
And
honestly.
it's huge. People imagine you just rock up to LAX and you're in California. But there's so much
You
more.
could literally be in your car from this part of LA to the most southern part for an hour just to get there.
Yeah.
It is absolutely massive.
Yeah.
How do you think your childhood might have been different than mine or somebody else's out there? What do you think stands out?
What do I think stands out? I guess the fact that there's Yosemite National Park, since that's a tourist destination for people from around the world.
Yeah.
That was really cool, being able to just head up there for day trips.
That's so cool.
And, yeah, and getting to see some of the most beautiful scenery in the
Did
world.
they bring you out there for school at all? Was that?
No, we did it.
No.
I was a cross country runner in high school and my whole life. So we went there a lot for training, or just not training, but we would go there with our team for group bonding and stuff like that.
Bondings.
I don't know. We just went there because it's so close, I think. So I think that's one difference. And let's see, there's honestly Fresno feels like a very regular town.
Yeah.
It's just you know, you go to school, and I guess it's more of like a family community because it is very like safe and it's pretty affordable to live there.
Yeah.
So
Everybody kind of knows everybody almost.
yeah, not everybody knows everybody, but it's like there's a big small business culture, and it's just a really big family community. So it's not like growing up in LA where you have like the Hollywood scene, or like San Francisco where there's like kind of this
tech.
like hipster, tech
Yeah.
like that. It's very like mom and pop, and like there's a lot of high schools. So it's just like a very big family community, I would say, and like small businesses.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's still like brick and mortar.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me, that's so much of like the East Coast, that whole brick and mortar. And I mean, I guess it is still out here too, but who would you say has influenced you the most growing up?
Growing up.
Yeah.
Let's see. I feel a little bit sheltered in a way because a lot of what I learned, I didn't learn until college.
Uni, I love it.
Yeah.
Uni.
And a lot of my influence came in uni. So I think growing up, I really looked up to my dad.
Okay.
And because he's a small business owner.
What type of business?
A construction business.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's really, I work from pretty much how I financed my life for the last 3 years is like through that business.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Like I work for him from time to time.
Yeah.
And so I feel really fortunate with that. And let's see. Yeah.
What do you mean? Go on with, elaborate on what do you mean by sheltered? Was it because of the environment you grew up in, or what do you mean by that?
I think Fresno felt like a small town, so I didn't really realize what life was outside of Fresno, California.
Yeah.
Like, I just really didn't know about the world.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out. I think, like, that's what I really love about university as well, is because you start meeting people from other states and other countries, and then your horizons are just broadened.
Yeah.
So I think because I was really involved in sports growing up, that like cross country, like track was my life.
Yeah.
And to imagine that anyone cared about anything else, like I didn't really grasp the concept. So like I think I was just really focused, and I loved growing up. Like I had good mates, I had good friends.
Mate, so Australian. I love it.
I'm still transitioning like the logo
I love
back
it.
to like regular.
No, it's so
California.
cool. It is so cool.
Yeah, so I had good friends growing up, and I feel like we just had like a dream squad. So I was very content, and I wasn't really searching for anything outside of what I had. So I think that's why.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one older sister, and then I have...
Oh, yeah, the one living in Burbank, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. This is her at. No, I'm just kidding. And then I have stepsisters on both sides of my mom and my dad.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You were, so the cross country, you were a team leader in high school.
How'd you know that?
I did my research.
Oh my gosh. Wait, did you Google me?
Listen, I know this ain't my first rodeo, all right? I do a little bit of research before people walk in here. I want to know the real Ash Katch.
Cool.
Because I got to press. I want to know some more. I want to know details. What did you learn about leadership through those years with track?
Yeah, so cross country and track, I think the thing was I kind of fell into the role. Like I always knew I kind of wanted to, I always felt like I had sort of like leadership capabilities because I was always put in those positions where I was the one kind of directing.
Yeah.
And I never really knew why, but I think it was because like if people that meet me, I think they would say I'm like pretty reliable and like just somebody that has or like I try to have integrity, although it's not 100%. But
You're trying. That's all that matters. You're
exactly.
trying.
And like I think in terms of like when you think of a workout, like this is what I love about cross country and track is because there are so many parallels between when you are doing workout and then in real life. So it's like you get to your third set or whatever, and it's like you don't think you could do any more. But like in terms of having the mental strength to like push through. Excuse me.
Yeah, please. Ice cold water.
Yeah. I think my personality was very similar to that, like in terms of, okay, like rallying the crew together, like, okay, we can do this. We just have one more.
Yeah.
And so I think I was maybe someone that people could rely on, look up to, and just like be an example that people could look to.
Yeah. You were carrying the torch and people were marching behind.
Yeah. And I think like in terms of being a leader, it's somebody that people can look up to as an example, and that when they're feeling like faltering that they can look to that example and be like, actually, like, we can do it.
Yeah.
You know, just somebody that's sturdy and rooted and grounded.
Yeah.
And
you need somebody to give direction.
Yeah. And so I wasn't like this like strong spokesperson that was like always motivate. Like I imagine like in the movie 300 when they like give those and like everyone's like, yeah, like I was never like that, but I'm definitely just someone kind of behind the scenes that like
Gets people moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's super important.
Yeah.
You ended up going to Cal Poly State University. That's in San Luis Obispo. That's just such a weird name to me to say every time. It's almost like a tongue twister. What did you imagine as the dream job walking into college?
Well, I didn't want to do what I was studying right off the bat.
Huh.
Like when I first started college, I wanted to do acting.
Okay.
So I was so random.
Whoa, that is so.
It was so random.
Okay.
And still, I'm like, I can't memorize lines. Like, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So.
But it still, I feel like that still kind of goes with vlogging.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not acting, but you still are that. You're putting yourself in front of that camera, right?
Personality.
Yeah.
Totally. So I studied environmental engineering, and I think the heart behind that was, I want to save the environment. My guidance counselor was like, you're good at math and science. Environmental engineering is perfect for you. And at the time, my father had the construction company, so it seemed like things were like all lining up.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was like, okay, like fair enough. Like I'll just try this out. And then it wasn't until like my third year that I was like, oh, this is what engineering is. Oh, this is what environmental engineering. Like I didn't know, and because in the beginning of uni, like you just take like your general
intro
ed
classes.
Yeah, you don't really know like what you're getting into. But yeah, so I think the heart behind it was I wanted to get into sustainability. Yeah, and then when I finally figured out what it wasn't until like the last few years, and then I graduated and I tried it out that I was like, okay, like I knew this wasn't for me from the beginning, and I gave it a shot, and so then I moved in a different direction.
What was it about sustainability? Why did you want to go down that path?
I think in high school I had started to see, like I became aware of the issue of like environmental pollution and air, especially since Fresno has bad air pollution. Yeah.
With the smog.
Yeah. And so I was like, this is an issue that is becoming more and more prevalent. And because I have this sort of like, I want to save the world or like be a thought leader kind of like thought in my head.
Yeah.
I thought, that's the perfect way to kind of make my difference. So yeah, that was, and it still is something that I'm really passionate about.
It still feels you behind you, right?
Yeah, that's why I have this straw. It's like I try not to use plastic. And
okay. Now it's starting to
for everyone
connect.
that's only listening, I like have a metal straw in my glass.
I like that. And we got the glass. Good thing I didn't have plastic cups.
Yeah,
You'd be like, get out of here. I'm done.
No, it's okay.
I'm not doing this. What do you think changed the most about you within that 4 years?
That's an interesting question. I think I kind of alluded to this earlier, that in the beginning of my life, I felt kind of sheltered. And so going through uni, I was like, there's other humans that are interested in other things. And that's sort of where I developed my passion for travel, is seeing that there was this culture where people lived abroad and kind of explored different places. And I thought, wow, I really want to do that.
Yeah.
And Instagram culture had just kind of started, like when we were all in college in the beginning. So like what it is now is just so different than what it was. But I think that's where I first started seeing like, people are traveling and people take photos and share their content and that kind of thing. And it's really sparked an interest in me. And along those lines, I think within the 5-year span of being in college, every day I wanted to quit. Like engineering was not easy for me.
You got to really be passionate, I think, within math and just everything, the courses that they make you take.
Yeah. So engineering was every week, like we can call up my dad and he'd be like, yep, she called me every week, like saying I want to give up, like I don't want to do this anymore. And like really wanting to just like either transfer schools or whatever. It was just really hard. And it felt like this is just not me. Yeah. You know, like, but I feel like I'm forcing myself to fit into something that doesn't feel like me. Yeah. So in those 5 years, the fact that I stuck with it really taught me something about perseverance and endurance. And even though I'm not using engineering anymore, the way that I proved to myself that I can get through hard times is something that transcends everything. Yeah. And I think the same sort of concepts come from me being in cross country and track, like persevering through the hard times, and like when you don't think you could go any further, like pushing yourself a little bit further.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I learned as well, like going through engineering.
I feel like once you're in college, 3 years into that program, there is no option of dropping out. I mean, you do hear those stories of people that took the leap and they left school and did something extreme and amazing. But I think back to when I was 20, halfway through college, if you told me you have the option to drop out right now and try to chase this dream, or you just finish out, I'm going to take the safe route because I've established a friend group. I feel like I have to continue to do this in order to complete where I'm going with my life. And you feel like you're stuck almost. I mean, it's when you look at the big world that we live in, it's a good problem to have. But when you're young, that age, that's all you are thinking about is you. And I would be scared too, right? You're in the engineering program and you're like, this is not meant for me. But now I'm stuck because if I back out now, I have to do all this over again, and this is going to take me so much longer.
Yep.
So what did you do after you graduated then?
So I went directly into engineering, environmental engineering.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you did the degree and then you went into it.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, fair enough.
I need to do this.
I have the degree now, and I even took this. Test to get my engineering and training certificate.
Okay.
Which is like a 7-hour test.
I'm all set.
Yeah, I know. And like you prepare like for a few months for, you study for a while for it, and then you get this certificate called your EIT, and you need that in order to get your professional engineering license to where you can actually stamp projects and be like, this is good to go, like go ahead and build or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was pretty like, okay, I'm just gonna try this as best as I can and give it my all. And so like I had this EIT, and I was like, I have to try like living in this world. So yeah, I did it for a while, and I wasn't doing well at my job. And I think because I am so emotionally driven, if I'm not passionate about it, it's really hard for me to like do well. So, and especially, yeah. So anyway, I ended up leaving that job and then working for my dad.
How long were you in that job for?
I was in the job for 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
That's all it took, huh?
Excuse me. Yeah. The thing was, a lot of people were saying like you should just stick it out for a year because it looks bad on your resume if you like leave somewhere so quickly.
Yeah.
And for me, I had heard the phrase before, but it really stuck out to me, like, your life is short. And I was like, my life really, like, life is short.
Yeah.
And like, why should I spend so much, like, I've already proved to myself that I can endure hard things, but like, why do I have to prove, like, I'm not proving anything to me by staying in a job that I hate. If anything, it takes more courage to leave than stay. Yeah. So I think I realized at that point that I need to leave and I need to start pursuing things that are actually Ashley oriented instead of staying in something and doing things that I think the world tells me I should do.
Everybody else is telling you to do it, so I need to do it. So what was the plan then going into your dad's working for your dad? Was there a game plan, or was it just this is going to give me a temporary comfort spot to figure out what the next plan is? Yeah,
so I wanted to get into video because I had sort of been into video in high school and I did some like video journalism classes. So I was like, oh, I'll get a camera, I'll get into video, and then in the meanwhile, Dad was like, why don't you just come back and work for me? Like, I don't want you living on your own and kind of without a job. And I said, okay. I had a little bit of cushion from the engineering job because it paid pretty well. And so until that cushion was like out of the comfort zone, like I moved back home and started working for him. And that was really good because it gave me a really cool perspective on being a business owner and getting to see, like, I really admire my dad. And so getting to see how he operates and how he leads and how he hires people and just does that whole process. Really inspired me and taught me a lot. So I was really grateful for the time that I did go back home. But in the meanwhile, I had kind of had in the back of my head, like, I really want to get more into video. Like, that has been the thing that I felt like I am always really excited by. So that sort of started happening slowly. Like, I got a few wedding gigs and I was sort of like doing both for a while.
So your YouTube content a lot is about living your daydream.
My little slogan.
Yeah, I love it. Would you say you're living yours?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah, I was just, actually, it's funny you asked that because I was just thinking, I was laying and I couldn't really sleep last night, FYI.
Were you nervous? Were you nervous about coming on the podcast?
Let's just say yeah.
This guy shooting in his bedroom, like, I'm so nervous about this huge production that he's going to have.
No, I couldn't sleep. I think it's kind of jet lag still because I just got back a few days ago. And I was laying in bed just thinking, I literally wouldn't trade my life for anybody else's right now. Not that it's perfect. Like, I'm still not financially comfortable as I have been in the last few years. But I think in terms of like looking at everyone's life, there's no one living a life that I would rather be living than my own.
Yeah.
And I just think about like my best mate she's American, but she lives in Sydney. Her name's Olivia. She's the one that throws Rad Livin'.
Yeah.
And she's become my best mate quickly over the last year, especially over the last few months. And when I think about like how similar we are in the dreams that we have together and the way that we can accomplish these things together, and just in terms of like not settling anymore, because I used to like doing the engineering job, working for my dad, like all those things like I liked and I learned things from, but I kept doing them for other people and not for myself. And now I finally feel like I'm in a place where I'm choosing to do things for Ashley and not settling for things that aren't exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that I'm being picky either. You know, I'm not like, oh, this millennial that only does things that she wants, like she doesn't get the real world.
Yeah.
I feel like, no, I'm actually creating my world, you know, and I'm actually blazing a new trail.
Yeah.
And that's something that like is really inspiring to me.
Yeah.
And
It's inspiring others too.
Yeah.
It's
and so
inspiring others.
that's what living your daydream is about. Like if you have something in your head that you want to do, whether it exists or not, do it, you know, and it's hard to create something if you don't have an example.
Yeah.
But I think now I believe like literally if I can imagine it, anything's possible.
Yeah.
If I want to travel and like make videos and like work remotely for a cool business, like I can do that. And then like I created it, and that's what I'm doing now.
I think it's so easy to, I don't want to say compare, but you see other friends that might have went a different course in their life and you see them doing financially successful and you start to question, what am I, is this right? Am I actually supposed to be doing this? Because I'm barely getting by and they are doing whatever they want, but there's money to back it. And then I'll go through that mental talk to myself of, okay, well, I've done podcasts with these people. Everything is growing. I'm happy with what I'm chasing after. I'm much rather that chase of creating my own world of that. And maybe in a couple of years, I'll live full time off of what I'm creating, but it's that chase of the unknown that I'll take any day of the week than just, I don't want to say settling, but settling for something that I'm not passionate about because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And I think it's not easy, but when you hear conversations like this is a perfect example of somebody that is able to make that jump and actually go for it.
Well, I think a lot of people are stifled by the idea of what they need to be, you know, and the idea of like what is popular in culture. Like even yesterday, I was in the presence of a girl who came home crying saying, I feel too old to be in this situation still. She's like, I don't even know her age, but she's like, I'm working at a pizza place and I feel like I should be at a different place in my life. I shouldn't still be working at a pizza place. And I'm like, literally the mold that you think you need to fit into doesn't exist. Like you can write your story and you can be whatever age you want to start whatever you want. And like, for me, I've been so liberated by that idea. And I think our culture needs to be, our demographic and our age group needs to be liberated by that as well. Yeah. Because there's so many of us that are trying new things and like going our own way that I think we all feel like, wait, should I do the stable thing? And should I just get the job and have the family and buy the house? And like, should I do all those things? But there's no directions on how to do life. And I think the reason why our culture and our age group is so powerful is because we're not saying yes to the things the way things used to be. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a completely changing world.
Yeah.
What do you want people to take away from the content that you put out?
Just what I've been talking about. I think that like the whatever life that you imagine and you dream, you can create. It just takes hard work and it takes like pretty good visualization. Yeah.
If you have a dream and you can actually put forth that effort, I guess it is possible, at least in the world we live in today, with just the access of internet and being able to literally produce enough stuff, and then eventually people are willing to pay you for that service. It's like, well, why can't you do it?
Yeah.
What's been the best lesson that you've learned through content creating?
I think I learned how to be myself again because in the midst of getting this engineering job and then like wanting to travel and not really sure, like just being confused at life. Yeah. I think, excuse me. I think I just felt like, who is Ashley? Where is she gone? Like, it's easier to know who you are when you're younger and there's no pressures of anything.
Yeah, you just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
There's no bills, there's no nothing.
Yeah, and then as you get older, you kind of feel like, okay, I have to be a certain way, or like you look up to people and you emulate them, and that kind of takes away from who you are, which was a big part of my story as well. And so like through content creation, specifically through vlogging, I started to find Ashley Katchadorian again, and that was hugely powerful for me. And I even noticed a shift from like, because I lived in Australia at the beginning of 2017. I came back home at the end of, or in the middle of last year, which in California, where we met actually, and and that's when I was had started vlogging. And then when I went back to Australia, I noticed something different in the way that I interacted with the people I knew there. I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel more comfortable in my own skin. So I think especially when people ask me like, what about like, aren't you scared to vlog? Or like, I really want to vlog, but I don't know if I should or how or whatever. And I always encourage people to do it because you're just like with yourself and the camera. And I feel like it's a good place to sort of learn about who you are and what kind of you think is funny or interesting. And yeah.
You can't care. You just have to just grab that camera and just look into it. And what's so natural for, I would say, both of us of just pouring our emotions into a camera is so hard for other people, but it's almost a high because you realize that this is going to eventually get put out, and whoever sees it, it could impact them. I feel like when I'm looking at the camera as if I'm just directly talking to one person, but you forget that this camera, once uploaded, has the ability to see millions of people, which is so interesting and so weird to think because 20 years ago, you couldn't do that. Like you're literally just looking at this one thing and you put it up there and then boom, it goes everywhere. In Australia, what was the, talk to me about the festival. It was Rad Livin'?
Yeah,
Rad
Livin'.
What is that all about?
So it's really cool. Actually, in 2016 was the first year, and I had been following this account called Don't Tell Summer, and it was all about doing what you love now instead of waiting for the future.
I like that.
And that was sort of in the midst of me going back home to work for Dad and like wanting to do video and sort of like being in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
Still loving sustainability.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And not knowing how to like toggle between all of those things. So this account started advertising for Rad Livin', and it was this mix between like a fun music festival and inspiring talks, sort of like TED Talks. So people would go up and they would explain how they got to do what they love, whether that's being a photographer or starting a business, whatever. They would explain sort of like A to Z how to do it. And so it's very practical. And at the same time, it's not sort of like a boring, stuffy conference networking event. There's like a party at the end. Okay. So there's like a
people
music.
People are happy to be there. There's music. There's a lot
live
of
music, and there's cool. like an open bar, and like there's free food.
Okay.
So it's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling so drawn to that. So I flew from California to Australia to go to it the first year.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I just felt so drawn to it. So I was like, okay, I've always been driven by emotion, like good or bad. Like, let's just do it.
Do it.
And I was, like I said, sort of in between things. So I said, it's the perfect time to go. And so I met the founder there, Olivia. And then the following year, I decided to move to Australia, which was the beginning of last year.
That's so cool.
Yeah, just because there's a visa where young people can live there and work there for a year.
Working holiday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that existed until I went to the festival the first year. And then when I was in Sydney, I got a message from Olivia saying, hey, would you be keen to help out? Like with the festival, I just need help like sending some emails and stuff. And I was like, yes,
sign me up.
I'm like,
be there.
Literally, I'm your ride or die. Like, sign me up.
Yeah.
I love the concept, love the idea. And so that's sort of where we started building our friendship. And so then I started working for it sort of just like casually.
Yeah. And
then a few months later, we decided to make travel plans together. So she's like, I want to go to Greece. And I was like, so do I. I was like, I'd go anywhere. Like, I haven't really traveled yet. Yeah. I've been to Australia, but keen to just go to Europe. So we went to Europe, and then we started kind of dreaming about the third year together, which was a really cool, and I feel really grateful to be a part of that process and kind of learn how to throw a festival. Yeah. And to learn from Olivia, like she's the one that kind of inspired me to like make a lot of moves before I even knew her. Just like her story that she shared on her Instagram account, Don't Tell Summer, and like just hearing that somebody else made a big leap inspired me to make big leaps, you know, just seeing that it's possible to kind of like take risks and see reward.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then this year I worked with the festival at a larger capacity. Like I made the promo trailer and then like helped with the marketing and ticket sales and stuff like that.
I feel like that's got to be so nerve-wracking to even just, it's one thing to move to a different part of the country, but you moved outside of the country, like to another place, which is mind-blowing to me. I think that's super cool that people are able to do that, like yourself. You talk about you really started to find yourself, but what was it about Australia, do you think, that has helped change you or your lifestyle or open your eyes to maybe something that you didn't realize living in the States?
I met a lot of people. Like when you go to Sydney, you'll realize that there are a lot of foreign people, like not just Americans or Australians, like people from from Germany and from Thailand and just from like all these countries around the world.
Yeah.
Because there's this unique visa for young people, you meet a lot of people from around the world.
Yeah.
So I think moving there, I met so many people from different cultures and I made friendships from people that live all around the world.
Yeah.
And that was really valuable for me because it gives, it kind of opened my eyes to different cultures, even outside of the Australian culture. So that was really cool for me. And that's something that I set my heart to, like when I was in uni. I was like, I want to see the world. I want to know how people live, because I think I did feel sheltered growing up. And I was like, wait, there's a whole world out there of people doing things differently than I do them.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't aware. So I think it just opened my eyes to...
Because you had everybody there,
Yeah.
everybody from different parts of the country, different places of the world that you haven't been yet, but you were able to kind of get a sample of it.
Yeah, and I think that opens your eyes and gives you a lot of empathy that you wouldn't have had if you're kind of just knowing about it, but knowing the people and like knowing sort of hearing the differences of their culture and yours, you're like, oh, they don't have to be my way isn't the right way.
Yeah.
It's just one way.
Yeah.
And I think that gave me a lot of empathy, which I'm really grateful for.
That's super cool. Your website says Ash Katch believes that we can design carefully, source responsibly, manufacture ethically, market righteously, and consume consciously. What changes do you believe need to be made moving forward?
So that's sort of when I first started my blog. I thought Ash Katch would be its own brand name. I kind of thought like, oh, this will be, I didn't think like it's my name. I thought, oh, it could be its own word.
Okay.
Yeah. And so at the time, I was like, okay, this could be a community. And that was sort of the community mantra of like, this is what we believe should happen moving forward and like what we think needs to be changed. And so when I wrote that, it was about the world of manufacturing and sustainability because things are manufactured all the time, but usually not with the people that are manufacturing them in mind and not with like the environment in mind. It's like, what can we build for the cheapest, how could we save the most money through it all? And so for me, it's like, okay, we can market righteously. We don't have to like try to sell people things that they don't need. Even though that's sort of like the opposite of business. I think for me, I was like, I still want to be in business, but I don't want to make people think they need something they don't need. And then like consume consciously is kind of the same concept of like, we can buy things, but like, why don't we try to buy things that are made sustainably and made ethically so that the people involved aren't hurt at all during the process and are paid a fair wage. I'm just like, isn't that fair? Like can you imagine like working and then be with the possibility of being killed at work? Like that's so gnarly. Like that. So that's sort of the idea between that whole with that whole kind of manifesto that I wrote.
That's different. It is crazy to think about. Like there are people, there's work environments where people could just die on the job and it's just people just keep moving. I met a guy through Uber 2 weeks ago. He had just got back from a trip to Kilimanjaro and he went, long story short, he did a path that 1% of the people that will actually come to Kilimanjaro do, and he made it, but there was a guy on that was, you have to travel, it was something crazy. You had to travel with like 5 people for every one traveler, the cook, a guide, and one of the cooks ended up dying on the trip, and he told me they literally, it's just replaceable. There's no, he said people die on this trip all the time and they just replace them. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, how is that even just okay?
Yeah.
You would think that people are dying on this road. Let's just stop doing this and not do a tourist attraction anymore. And
I guess
just
it's
kept
the
doing
risk you take or something. Maybe like you realize the risk and you do it anyway.
And well, the other thing he told me is that a lot of these people that were working on these job sites, there was no other option for them.
Oh, yeah.
Where
See,
they
that's
were,
where it
where
gets
they
tricky.
lived, that was literally the only way to make a living.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what you do, or you're not going to be able to live.
Yeah.
Which
So that's when you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think that's kind of where empathy gets involved. You're like, wait, maybe I should support, situations where people are safer, where people are treated fairly. So I think my heart, even within business, like I really want to start a business within the year, and I want to do some maybe clothing or some sort of manufacturing where things are done sustainably. Especially being in Australia, like there's a huge sustainable like business culture, like ethical business. Like even the straw that I have is made by the Clean Coast Collective, and they sell like chic products that are like made sustainably or like for sustainability, so they like reusable water bottles or whatever. And I'm just like, I had just like a really cool picture of all the different possibilities of like what I could do, but what really encouraged me was this is possible. Like people are doing it.
You can do this.
Yeah, like there's a way to do things the right way, make money from it, and like live and like make a difference. And so that was the whole heart of that I had going into environmental engineering, was like doing things with integrity the right way, making a difference, but like still being able to be in business. Because usually it's a trade, one for the other. Like you either don't do well and do things sustainably, or you make a lot of money and it's unsustainable. And I was like, no, I want to forge a new
Find
trail.
the perfect balance of it.
Yeah.
Well, you just spoke into existence, so you have to make this happen now. You literally said, I want to start a company this year. So
I mean,
2018,
I've talked about it for some
this
people.
clip is going to get cut. I'm going to just send it to you like December 20th and be like, all right, where is it? It better come out in the next week or two.
I love that. Thanks for that.
No, seriously, that's why I kind of love the podcasting and stuff and interviews and conversations, because now it's documented. You said it, now you have to, it's going to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it almost holds you to follow through with what you want to do sometimes.
Appreciate
Is
that.
there, you have the straw, right? Is there, I don't want to like talk the conversation about the straw, the golden straw. If you guys can see this on visuals, this thing is beautiful. Is there something that you think people can do today in their day-to-day life that would help the environment, that wouldn't cause them to go completely out of the way to restructure their lifestyle? Or are there just little things that you see people doing that you're like, just would you stop doing that?
I think the easiest thing is getting like reusable mugs for coffee and reusable water bottles, straws, and like reusable grocery bags. Those are just those are everyday things that are easy to replace. Yeah, so those, for me, those are the easiest ones. The hard things, I think, are when you're going to Target or going to get new clothes and you're like, how do I know if this is made sustainably? Like, you just don't know. So those requires you to do a little bit of research, which I also have tips on that. Like, I've made videos and stuff.
Oh,
plug
it up. Check out her YouTube, check out her blog.
Yeah, so that takes a little bit more effort.
Yeah.
And like before I moved to Australia, I really wanted to work for Patagonia.
Oh, that's super cool. Is that on the back of your phone?
Yeah,
I think
it's
I saw
on the
the
back
sticker.
of my phone, yeah.
Okay.
So that sticker I got in Sydney, it sort of symbolizes two of my passions, like travel and sustainable manufacturing, sustainable business. And so yeah, Patagonia is sort of the trailblazer in the sustainable apparel industry. And what I really admire is that when they saw the way that the environment was being degraded, whatever, like degraded.
Great word.
Yeah, I'm like, well, can phone a friend. Like, I need help with this word. When they saw that, they were like, no, like, let's keep doing things the right way.
Yeah.
And so they started partnering. They did a lot of research and found sustainable factories and that sort of thing. Like, they didn't just be like, oh, there's no option. Like, let's just go the other way. They were like, no, let's create an option.
Yeah.
So that I really wanted to work for them. I moved to Ventura. Like, I did the whole
Oh, you were ready to do it.
Yeah, I was like at their front door. I was like, Yvonne, I'm here and I'm ready.
What happened? They didn't answer the door or what?
Yeah, no, I did like a little tour and like they did answer the door. But I think they basically were like, well, we don't need somebody with an environmental engineering degree because you have that, because Patagonia is like a very lean company.
Oh. I didn't know that. Like, how lean are we talking?
Well, just in terms of everyone's very high functioning. Like they don't really have much wiggle room for like a random intern. You know, like, just throw them in, like we can afford it.
They have a good process going. They don't want to.
It's like a very well-oiled machine and like very lean. So they were like, even though you have like the passion, we don't really need the passion here. We need somebody with actual skill set. Excuse me. And so that's what I learned going there. I was like, okay, like tough lesson to learn. Like when you throw your everything into a situation, you're like, I literally moved here.
At least you tried it though. Yeah, I know. Literally, I moved here knocking on your door. You should probably take me. But
yeah, like I had a couple little like interviews, but it wasn't like to get a job. But anyway, moving there was the time that I decided that I was going to go to Rad Livin' for the first time. So it's like I was in Ventura, kind of jobless, and I was like, oh, Rad Livin's happening. And so, I mean, it all works out.
Yeah,
and
things happen for a reason.
Yeah, even if things don't look like they're happening for the reason that you planned out, like everything's still working in your favor when you're doing what you love. Yeah. It just doesn't look like it just might not turn out the way that you imagine.
Yeah, but it could. If you follow the path, eventually something is going to connect, and it's going to make more sense.
Yeah.
What is your biggest doubt about yourself?
Biggest doubt about myself. Well, this is like an exclusive because this has happened over the past few months. Okay. And this was a big reason why I struggled in the last few months that I was in Australia, which I don't think I mentioned that already, but like. I stopped I wasn't vlogging really, and I wasn't really making a lot of videos while this year in 2018 while I was in Sydney. And I think it was because I was not sure if I was all that I thought I was. Let me explain that a little bit better. I had always seen myself as sort of like a leader and somebody who has the capacity to like build a business and create a community and like sort of stand for something and stick with it and that sort of thing. And in my last few months, I thought, wait, maybe I don't have the ability to sort of, to do all of that, to like build a business and to stick with something. And I think I just started doubting my ability to sort of be a leader in a situation. Yeah. And it was because I think it was because I was put in a situation where I was sort of like the second in command, like when I work with the like Rad Livin'. Yeah. It's like I'm not the one running the show, and I thrive more when I'm in that situation of like running the show. Yeah. And so when I was it kind of put me in this passive position, and I started like losing a lot of my feng shui and like losing a lot of my, it was just like a hard time of me feeling, and like being in Sydney for some reason made me feel really lethargic. And I don't know why. Like literally the second I stepped off the plane in California, I was like, replying to all my emails, I was checking all my DMs, and like I cleared my inboxes, like everything was good. Yeah. And then like I don't know, for the last few months, like in Sydney, it was really hard for me to even like reply to DMs and like reply to emails and things like that. And I don't know, there was just like a lot of doubt going on in my head of like, am I capable? And and is Ashley, can she actually pull this off? Like everything that she wants to do.
I think what you're going through is the struggle of every creator alive. It is I'm not saying this like turn off the camera, turn off the video, and I will literally say the same exact thing. I literally have this conversation every single day of my life, every single day. And it is oh man, it's a roller coaster, because you ask, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be doing that? Is what I'm putting out actually helping people? Am I capable of reaching to the tops like I want to reach to the tops? And I think as a content creator, even the people that inspire you the most are having these conversations with themselves every single day. But a little DM, a little vlog that does better than you think it should have, that it will do, podcast conversations like this, I think those are the things that are supposed to be the fuel to the fire of don't even question anymore. Like today, leave this podcast and be like, this is what I need to do. I'm a vlogger. I want to put out this content, and I'm just going to keep doing it. And I don't even give a shit if people aren't paying attention. Like if I'm getting 50 plays or 100 plays, I'm going to still deliver. I have delivered every single week for 83 episodes because this is what I want. And I don't care if people think I'm not the greatest. I'm not the greatest. There's certain flaws about myself that I question and I try to work on every single day. But as a creator, You are going to have this game every single day for the rest of your life. That is what comes to living and creating the world you want to live in. Is you are the creator of that world. So who makes the decisions on that world but you? There's nobody that's there that is going to tell you this is the right way, this is the wrong way. It's that mixed battle of I get to create whatever I want and I can build this world. And if I don't want to do that, I can also go live in the world of somebody else that they want to create for me. So if that's what it's been, now this is my bearded 2 cents. If that's what it's been for the last 4 months, that's understandable because I think people go through this. You know, there are been months where I'm down low and I'm just not getting what I want. But I think if you today look at yourself in the mirror, go get a coffee at some point, or just go look at the California sun because goddamn it is beautiful out here, and just have that conversation of, is this what I want? And if it is, I'm just going to keep producing. And I don't really care what people leave as comments or what they say. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going to do, and see where it goes from there. But that second guessing is what's going to hurt you because that's just you holding back on creating more content. If it's second guessing because I don't know if I really like this anymore, I don't know if this is something I enjoy, that's one thing. But if it's, am I capable of? Nah. Like there's no time to spend wasting having that conversation where it's just, as a great Gary Vee would say, deliver. You know, you just have to keep delivering, and then all of a sudden you have 200,000 subscribers, and then that is the moment when you say, damn, okay, this is what I need, you know? But if you can close your eyes, picture that 1 million subscribers or whatever you want, and I guess this sometimes is going back to goal relating. I have like this running crazy notepad. I'm going to read them to you. Like the craziest dreams of my life. And why not, right? Like
This feels like a pivotal moment for the both of us.
Absolutely. Every time. Every time. I have this running list of long-term goals. Give a TED Talk. Work out with The Rock. Be a guest on The Ellen Show. Be a guest on The School of Greatness. Give a talk at my high school. Wake up every day and do what I love. Be both mentally and physically fit. Write a book. Travel all over Europe. Complex Climb 2018 booth. I need it. Get invited to a White House correspondent dinner. Netflix series. Host a pop-up event. I read that and then I stop questioning. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? You know? So maybe write some of those crazy goals and just read them every single day when you wake up, and then don't question.
That's a really good idea.
And just don't question like what. I don't know the path of how I'm getting there, but I know those are the dreams that I'm chasing after, and I'm not gonna say and I said this on the last podcast that I recorded, that I'm not gonna say I'm a failure because I don't reach them, but those dreams are so big and so far for me to reach that's enough to keep me to deliver. And whether it's the next video is getting 50 plays and then 60 plays and then 70. But it's as long as I'm seeing that incremental growth, I'm eventually going to get there.
When you read all of those, I felt like, yep. Like that seems very, like that's going to be in your future. I'm not even kidding. I was like, yeah, I can totally picture all of those.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm excited for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm more excited that you put out a vlog by the end of what is today, Saturday. By middle of next week, I want to see some type of content.
Well, exclusive scoop again.
Okay.
I'm bringing the weekend vlog back.
See,
and
there
this
you go.
won't be out until after the first weekend vlog is out.
There you go.
So
Start at a weekend vlog and then just keep pushing content. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, I literally have this chat with myself every single day, and fortunately living with, you know, my buddy who's the artist, my other buddy who runs a clothing line, they've been doing that stuff for way longer than I've been doing my content. And fortunately, I see them and I'm like, all right, well, it took them this long to get to where they are and they're still doing it. I guess I just got to keep doing it. So
that's really inspiring.
Keep producing content.
Thank you.
Keep producing content.
Yeah.
What's your definition of greatness?
Definition of greatness. I feel like all gelled out all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I'm like,
too.
whoa,
I'm
I feel like
I want to see the best in people. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to see people create, and I want to see people do things because they love it and not second guess themselves And when I say certain things, it's almost me having a conversation. Like what I just said to you, I would have had the same conversation looking in the mirror, you know?
Yeah.
So I just want to see people do great things. That's all.
That's really cool. Okay, so going back to your question, what's the definition of
What is your definition of greatness? Yeah.
I think for me, it's somebody that's found, somebody or something, or somebody that's found their path.
Yeah.
So whether or not, I don't think it's not monetary. It's never been monetary, but it's like when you find your niche and you've kind of like, you've gotten on that track, it's like you've made it, in my opinion. You know, like you know exactly who you are and what you're doing, and you're always kind of following the desires of your heart and the passions that you have. It's like the outcomes look different, but it stops being about the end game and it starts being about the process. Yeah. And I think for me, that's what greatness is when somebody has found that path for them, that's like, okay, I've already made it because I'm doing what I love. Yeah. And I'm making the mark that only I can make on this world. Yeah. You have to fall in love with that process, which is, as we just talked about, is so difficult, but you have to. You had this parody video of Gary Vee, which I loved. I rewatched it earlier today. I was like so spot on. Thanks. Like, damn, she had a great concept. I should have done something like this. But since being introduced to his content, how do you think he's helped you from afar? Because we both share that very similar passions of Gary Vee and his content and his message, and there's so much within Gary Vee, but from afar, what have you learned from him? I think that happens every time. I think it's not being, by the way, the coaster just came up with his cup. Anyone that's listening, looks so good. Yeah, they're like, wait, what happened? What happened? I think similar to what I was just saying of like falling in love with the journey, being okay with failure and like accepting that is going to be a natural part of your journey. I think for me, I kept telling myself like, oh no, I keep seeing failure. This means I must be on the wrong path. But I realized watching his content that, oh my gosh, it was like a sigh of relief. I was like, oh, it's okay that like some things don't work out. Like almost like falling in love with failing, because it gives you that fire to like do better. Yeah. And that was a huge perspective shift for me, because I think I was crippled by this idea of like, you need to keep seeing things need to keep getting better, which in one sense they do, but just hearing from him like, no, it's about the journey and like loving that process and not loving the end results. Yeah, that really just changed me. Yeah, and I think along with loving the process is really just loving the present moment, because we're all just trying to get to these angles, but if we're not actually enjoying. I mean, like I said, these goals that I have, it could take 20 years, could take 30 years, could take 40 years, and it'll be great if I get there. But if I was miserable that entire time because I just want to get there, what would, all that time just flew by. So I think it is important to enjoy the process, and what really that means is just enjoying this present moment and these struggles and this game of life of trying to connect all these dots. But it's not easy. And I think, too, like, one thing that he says that I love is suffocate your bullshit. Like, that was huge for me, too. It's like all my millions of excuses of why I can't. Like, even the business idea that I have, I'm like, I have literally, like, 500 reasons why this might be better if I waited another year or something. Yeah. But I'm like, wait, those are just excuses. Like, there's nothing real, tangible that's stopping you from doing these things. So that was huge for me, too, is like, oh, I think putting out one video a week is good. And I'm like, wait, I can put out 3 videos a week. Suffocate your bullshit. Yeah. Yeah. And so I started putting out 3 videos a week. And like, I think we have this mental like ceiling of like, this is what I'm capable of. Or like, this is what is normal for me, for someone like me, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. And then you just realize that like when you see someone like Gary doing so much, you realize like anything's possible. Yeah. He's always moving. Yeah. That's moving. Why I respect him so much, because the guy's 42 or 41. He's just still hungry more than ever. And he always says, I'm just getting started. I still got a lot left in me. And I hear that, and I think to myself, all right, well, if he's doing it, then I got nothing that I should be complaining about. Yeah.
Do you think self-love is important?
In general?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's hugely, especially in the culture that we're in now, like where there are so many options. I think that leaves us feeling really insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it feels like a lot of people are doing what you're doing, and maybe you're kind of, I don't know, you don't stand out or you don't make the difference that you want. I think when you're not seeing results, it's important to like have that foundation of like, but you love what you're doing, or you love you, or you think that you're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that I learned when I first started vlogging. I was like, nobody's watching, but like still love
I'm
me.
gonna still do it. Yeah.
Or like I'm still enjoying getting to know Ashley again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important to love yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's sometimes the hardest journey to go down, is trying to find yourself when everyone's pulling you this direction, that direction, this direction.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can finally kind of narrow it and start to see things happen, you're like, all right, I need to keep trucking along this path and see what happens. Is there anything in your day-to-day routine that is a must that you need to do? Is there anything day-to-day that you're coffee? I love
Triple
it.
shot.
Triple shot?
Yeah.
Jesus, heart attack
know.
city. My God.
I know it's the only thing that'll get me to ground zero.
Wow. Okay. So coffee is a must.
Yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, now that I'm back in the States, I think my routine will come back again.
Mm-hmm.
But traveling and kind of being abroad, like really tests everything that you think you know about yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, I thought that I was good at this, and you thought that you were fine without the 9 to 5, or at least I thought I was fine.
Yep.
But then when your day is literally blank, and you're like, okay, I have to write every minute of this day.
Yeah.
It's like really hard, at least it was for me when I was traveling, to like really set a good routine for myself.
Yeah.
Besides coffee. Coffee's
Besides
always easy.
coffee.
But yeah, now that I'm back, my routine is like wake up, get coffee first thing, and then like just work from my laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what you got to do to get you through it, then do it.
Yeah.
What do you think Ash Katch's purpose is?
I think about a couple of things. I think back to the manifesto that you quoted earlier from my blog.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge part of the purpose that I want to make.
Yeah.
Is like doing business, but doing it in like with integrity and doing it sustainably, and giving people an example of like, this is possible for you if you want it to.
Yeah.
Because I think that's, as humans, so it's just much easier for us to do things when we know other people are doing it first.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gary Vee is nonstop. Like, okay, now I can kind of work a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because someone else is working like 20 times harder than me.
If he can do it, then I can do it.
Yeah. And so that is a big part of what I feel like my purpose is. And then also just living a life that encourages other people to live in whatever way they want. So whether that's living their daydream of like pursuing travel or pursuing business ventures, or even little things like I love tennis, so maybe I should go play tennis more. You know, that's something that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just like making a way, I think. Yeah. That people can like emulate, or giving people permission, I guess. I think that's what it is. It's like for me, I so much need to like see an example and be like, oh yeah, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And so I think I know that that's really important for me. And so I kind of like anybody that's looking up to me or would look up to me, I would want to give them permission to express however they want to express. Like one of my most recent videos I made about like a really bad dating experience. And I'm like, literally, I would have never, like, when I first thought about making videos, I did not expect to make a video that like made me cry. You know what I mean? And like sharing that with the internet.
Yeah.
But I think I was like, you know what? This year is the year where internet culture is going to start being more real and raw, instead of just sharing like inspirational stuff and like, this is how to do this and just all these really happy moments. And I was like, what if I create kind of a cool vibey video that's like about how I felt like shit for the past 2 months? You know what I mean?
Yeah, realness.
Yeah.
People want the raw. They want the realness of it.
Yeah, and I think like that was my sort of step without verbalizing that we can create in whatever way we want to create, whether that's sad because people relate to bad dating experiences or happy, which like most of the time my content is happy because I'm usually happy, but I'm like, actually let's do something where people feel like they can just do whatever they want instead of have to fit into this mold. Like what I said earlier, doesn't exist.
Yeah. I think people are going to connect more with you through that content where they see all of the emotions, the happy, the struggles, the I don't know if I should be doing this, the dating, all of that. I think that's when people gravitate more towards you because they're like, okay, she's going through this and this and this I've been going through. Okay, this is somebody that I actually connect with. Before I ask the closing questions, this is when I reverse the role. I allow my guests to ask me any one question. Could be about anything you want to know about me, any one question. 2 rules. It cannot be about the podcast. 2, it cannot be a question that I asked you today. Any one question. Anything you want to know. Fire away.
Okay, so in your life, excuse me.
In the life of the bearded man, yes.
Yeah, in your life, in general, like since we're kind of on the topic of things that are difficult to like go through and maybe scary to share with the public, what's maybe a struggle that you've had over the last like year, month, or a few years that's been kind of under wraps, but like that might be cool to like share with the public?
Yeah, I like this, and I know exactly where I'm gonna go with it. Actually, let's go with the I got a couple in my mind, but since you brought up the dating, we'll go with the dating one. Ever since, and it's not a bad struggle at all. Yeah, but it is a struggle in a sense, like a mental of, should I be dating and going out on dates and doing this relationship thing like so many of people that I know are doing? But ever since I started this journey with the podcast, I told myself, I need to, if I ever want to see this become what it possibly could become, the only way I'm ever going to get there is if I just focus on this one thing. Like that's all I need to focus on. And through that, I want to say I didn't cut people out, but I just, it was really about, is this conversation or this thing that I'm about to go do going to help the podcast? Is it a networking event or is this something that I'm going to build? And I just kept doing that. And then I looked at relationships. I mean, I remember when I was living in Boston the year before I moved out here, I went on one date with one girl. And honestly, I just didn't follow up because I was nervous that I was going to get into something that I would trip over and want, and that was going to take me away from this. So ever since this started, straight up, just haven't even really, it cracks me up when I think about it because it is, I mentally have that conversation with myself here and there too quite often because I'm 24 years young. Everyone around me is out doing their thing, dating or just messing around, and I just won't even allow myself to have any of it because I just want this so bad, and I'm so scared that any hour or any attention taken away from this or from building relationships, is it gonna hurt? You know, I think about this previous podcast guest I had today. Not today, like 2 days ago, and I thought, if this guy hit me up to grab dinner in 2 weeks, and then I had an opportunity to go on a date with this beautiful woman, I would probably pick the dinner with him because I want to build. I want to, I want so much. I want so much. And that's been a struggle because should I be gambling and going out and trying these relationships and stuff like that? Am I putting a pause on what are supposed to be the best years of my life because I want this so much? Or it's a good struggle to have. I don't want people to think I'm complaining. I know there are bigger problems and there are so many bigger issues in this world, and I don't want people to ever think I'm complaining and that my life is bad. I'm just telling you straight up, a struggle that I have is that of, should I be dating or messing around, or should I just keep doing what I'm doing? And especially after this past guest, I'm going to keep doing my thing because if I could cross off a dream guest, then I'm going to keep going. But it is a struggle. I don't know.
And what do you think would be would there ever be an exception?
Yeah. You know what you know what I realized? It's not even, I don't want to make it sound like I'm against dating, right? I'm just not looking, which tells me that when the time is right and the right person stumbles into my life, it will be right. And I wouldn't run away from it at that point. I'm just not swiping on Tinder or Bumble or just going to random parties to hope that I find somebody. I'm not doing that. But when the time is right or the right person comes across my lap and it's somebody that's ambitious and doing this and doing that, or whoever that woman is going to be, I'm not going to run away from it. I'm just not looking as much as I used to look when I was in college and having a good time and throwing myself out there a lot more than when I am now. So when the time's right or when it happens, I'm not running away. But until then, I'm not looking for it, which I think I think you need to do both in order to get that. But then part of me tells myself, no, you just need to keep doing your thing, and when the time's right, it'll happen. So
It can go either way.
it can go either way.
You can look and you'll find the person that you'll be with for a long time, or or it won't, or you'll be just doing you, and then it'll come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's, I guess, the struggle. But it's not, I don't want to make it sound, when I say struggle, it sounds like, I think the word struggle can be real life stuff, that is real life stuff. So I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. But
That's okay.
very I don't know what the dating was for you in that video, but I'm going to now watch it to see the details. But it just comes back to the conversation of what I was saying earlier, of being a content creator, of wanting to create your own world. And if I'm ever going to be able to see this happen, this is the only way I'm going to be able to do it. And it's just part of the content creator life.
I think too, when you find you'll know that you found someone good when they enhance your journey instead of deter you from it. Like you'll find somebody it's kind of on the same path as you, and you guys will just kind of be going together. Yeah,
exactly. So that's why I'm not worried about looking, but I know that relationships like that only can add value if it's right. But if it's wrong, that's when it starts to pull you away and you do the things that you shouldn't be doing, or it just steers you away. But when there's encouragement and there's actually something that can build together, then it makes more sense. You know what I'm saying?
Building together is huge for people that are super ambitious.
Yes. And it has to be somebody that's passionate. If there's no passion for whatever that woman does, then it's not going to last long at all. So that was a great question. And I could have gone a million different ways, but I was like, nope, time to open up about this, because I've wanted to talk about it. And I almost talked about it on that Breakfast to Serve podcast, the podcast I do with the guys. And it's not they'll roast me, but it's just not the right environment to have a conversation.
Well, I'm glad we talked about it.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to put it out on purpose in the youth. Closing questions.
Okay.
I want you to imagine there's a picture frame on the wall 10 years from now.
Okay.
What and who do we see within that picture frame? You're in it, though. I always forget to add that.
Yeah.
So you're in the picture. Sorry. We're in a picture frame. What are we looking at? Yeah, freaking shot. I need my triple thing of Starbucks too, whatever. The picture frame is you 10 years from now. What and who else do we see within that picture? What do you want to see that picture taken of?
Well, I literally, like when you said that, I literally saw me like with a mic in my hand, like speaking on a stage. Just me, no one else. But I think, that was the first thing that came to my head.
I like that.
Yeah.
TED Talk, or you're just talking in front of people?
Yeah, I think I'm just talking in front of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we leave some mystery in the air.
Yeah.
We leave some mystery in the air.
I think as people that are like driven so strongly, it's like you want to be a person that has a voice. So I think I've always wanted that as well. And so I when I go home and write my list of things, like you read earlier, that's definitely going to be on it. Like give a talk at something.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media?
At Ash Katch on Instagram and Twitter and anything else? Facebook.
YouTube.
Yeah, well, YouTube is Ashley Katchadorian.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But Ash Katch for most socials.
Yeah, all my social, and then YouTube is Ashley Katchadorian.
I'll have it all plugged up. People can tag, or they'll be able to find you on Instagram, or whether it's the iTunes bio or Spotify, they'll be able to find you. Before I ask the final question, thank you for taking the time to do this today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
A little backstory. I don't remember how I came across your page. We followed each other, slid into your DM, and then randomly stumbled into like a week or two later at ConflexCon. So I think it's super funny how the world works out. And I appreciate you coming in today. I think you have so much gas left in you. And as we talked about earlier, I think my bearded 2 cents is you just need to keep producing and not second guess yourself, because you have the ability to create really great content. It's just, is that what you want to do? And if it is, then do it. And if it's not what you want to do, then try something else. Try podcasting, try art, try whatever you want. But if you really enjoy the vlogs, and if tomorrow you could have 1 million subscribers and millions of people looking at you and you'd be very happy with that, then I think you know what you need to do. Now you just need to deliver and keep producing content. So
Thank you.
keep producing, keep kicking ass, and thank you for coming on today. Last question. What 2 to 3 pieces of advice would you give to somebody that's listening, hasn't found their passion, hasn't found their purpose, trying to figure it out in this crazy world that we live in? What's the best 2 to 3 pieces of advice you'd give to them?
1, start doing more of what you love and like listen to the little tugs of your heart, because even if something doesn't work out, like for example, I moved to Ventura to try to get a job at Patagonia. Didn't get the job, but that opened up another path for me to go to Radliven for the first time, which has drastically changed the course of my life. Yeah. So like just keep doing the little things that you feel like are your passion and follow those little tugs. Yeah. I would say. Another thing is surround yourself with the right people. That is, I feel like, the number 1 piece of advice I could give, because it's so, you become like what you surround yourself with, no matter what, like the content that you consume, the people that you hang out with. Like I've found that like when I surround myself with people that are also driven and motivated, and other content creators or people that are just like doing really cool stuff, I feel cool. Like not cool, but I feel like motivated to do cool stuff too. And same with like why I love watching Gary Vee vlogs, is because even though I'm not with him, I feel like I'm a part of his journey and like am encouraged by him. Yes. And so watch Gary Vee, like or like listen to this podcast, just like be involved in the lives of people that you want to also, that like you look up to. Yeah. And get rid of some of the things in your life that aren't like that. And if I could think of one more, maybe give yourself a break. I think like you can be so hard on yourself, and just like understand that there's ups and downs in life, and that it's a natural part of your journey. Yeah. So if things are hard right now, like if I were to kind of sit across from me, I'd be like, okay, you went through a hard time. Like it happens now, like let's kick ass. Yeah. So I think like not beating yourself up if things aren't going the right way, but like being like, okay, that happened, now let's move on. And like it wasn't a mistake that happened, but it was just a part of the journey that's gonna contribute to my success. Yeah, it was a learning experience. Yeah. Gotta love it. Ash Katch. Yeah. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it. This has been really fun. This has been great. This has been really good. Yeah. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.